Yeah, good morning everyone. Good morning again. And now we come to the next video. Before that, again, the ritual. Let's pray for 5 seconds. Okay, now we come to distributive property, which is the most important property out of all that you're going to learn. 3 I discussed that day, which I asked you not to do in the notebook. This also, the explanation part, please don't do. Just understand it very nicely. Now, I'm going to be using variables just to explain the property, because you know that variables can take any value. Now, distributive property says for any 3 numbers A, B, C, A into bracket B plus C is equal to A into B plus A into C. This is known as the distributive property. This is distributivity of multiplication over addition, meaning if I have a sum of 2 numbers which I have to multiply with a number, you will multiply this number outside the bracket with both the numbers separately. A into B plus, because there is a plus sign in between. You can, in later stages, you can also have a minus sign here. We'll come to that. So if I have A into B plus A into C, this statement, this is known as distributive property. This is very important, and you can have it both ways, meaning you have a question given in this form, then you solve it like this. If you have a question given in this form, you solve it like this. You will understand what I'm saying when we take up examples. So just remember that A into bracket B plus C is same as A into B plus A into C. Now, one thing to understand, this and this are completely different. These two are not same. Just because of the bracket, there is a lot of difference between the two. In this A is being multiplied to the sum of B and C. Remember in 6th when we were doing algebra, we did, you were given a statement, you had to write it in expressions. You have to write it as an expression. So here this A is being multiplied with the sum of B and C, whereas here C is added to the product of A and B. I hope you're clear about this, because this is the base. So this is A being multiplied to the sum of B and C, and this is C being added to the product of A and B. So these two are not same. We are here looking at distributive property, which is this. Now, just to see, whenever we use any property, what is the need to use a property? Like I told you before also, we learn all this or we use all this just so that we can do our work easily and quickly. We can do calculations easily. For example, supposing I tell you, I want the multiplication of 47 into 101. Now that's quite a bad multiplication, right? But if I use distributive property in this, it can be solved very easily, because I can write 101 as 100 plus 1. Why would I do that? Because when I write it like this, it is equivalent to my left hand side of the identity, which is 47 being multiplied by the sum of 101. Now, some children, when they start solving, after this step, they again write 47 into 101 and then they multiply this and get the answer. Please understand, we are learning properties so that we can do our work easily and maybe orally to a certain extent. This, when you use this property, my first number is A. So here A is 47. So on the right hand side, I get 47 into 100, which is oral, I hope, and plus 47 into 1, which is again oral, I hope. So this becomes 4700 plus 47, which is 4747, which is just a 2-second answer. Whereas if you multiply the two, obviously it will take longer. You need to use a rough column. You may make a mistake. This is very easy. 101, I split it up as 100 plus 1. Then I multiplied 47 into 100 and I multiplied 47 into 1 and added both of them to get my answer. Now supposing you say, I don't want to write 100. I don't want to write 101 as 100 plus 1. I want to write as 61 plus 40. Now that will not help, because again 47 into 61 plus 47 into 40, you have made it more complicated. When we are splitting up a number, we want to split it up in a manner that I have zeros as much as possible, like 100 or 1000 depending on the number, or 10, and the other number also I want it to be as small as possible. Always it will not happen, always this will not be 1, but as small as possible. If I have, supposing I want to split 30, let's say. I want to split up 29, let's say. Now instead of writing 29 as 20 plus 9, wherein I multiply with 20, then I multiply with 9, it's easier to write 30 minus 1. Because 1 is obviously, you don't need to think anything when you're multiplying with 1. So any number which you want to split up, you have to think of such a combination which is easier to do it orally. Okay, so please look at it very carefully. It's very, very simple. I've taken a very simple example because it's the first example. So we'll take up many more. So here, I hope this one is clear. Now let me take up another one which is a little more than this. Maybe, okay, let me take up a negative. Let me take up this only. Supposing I want, let's say, 47 was a bad number, so I took it. Now let me take 57. Suppose I say 57 into 29, yuck, the calculation is bad. But again, if I write it as 57 into 30 minus 1, I can write 29 as 30 minus 1. Now please, in the next step, do not again write it as 29. It's pointless writing the same step. And I'm telling you this because I've seen children writing this step and then coming back to 29 into 57 and then multiplying and giving the answer. If you have been given in the question that you have to solve using a property, and then if you multiply normally and get the answer, even if your answer is correct, you get a 0 because you have not used any property. So if the question comes, you have to use a property, you have to use it. Please don't say कि मैम answer तो ठीक है. Answer तो ठीक है. We are not teaching you multiplication now in class 7th. We are teaching you how to do it quickly, how to do it without making any mistakes. So here, what will we have? 57 into 30 minus 57 into 1. Why this minus? Because I have a minus sign here. In the earlier example, I had a plus sign here. So here, I can have minus also, I can have plus also. Okay, so things do not change. Just that if I have, okay, I'll write both. If I have minus, then this obviously becomes minus A into C. Okay, so now obviously 57 into 30 is easier than 57 into 29. So this you can do orally. 3 7s are 21, 3 5s are 15, 7 and this. Okay. You can solve and see if you cannot do orally, but now practice, try doing it orally. Minus 57. Okay, so this is simple subtraction. So you get 3 and you get 5 and you get 6 and 1. Okay, so I hope I've done it correct. 10. What should I do? 3. No, not 5. हाँ ठीक है ना, 5 ही तो था. 5 ही है. Okay, so this is how we solve distributive property. Now, I told you questions could be in this form or this form. Both ways it is distributive property. I have just told you one way. I have just told you the left hand side of this. Both kind of questions can come and both kind of questions are equally important. Now I will take up another one in which we will use this. We will have this kind of a setup. Okay, so I'll just rub and then come back. Yeah, so now supposing this is a question that you need to solve. You are given solve using suitable properties, or even if you are not given that, supposing it's just given solve this. Now please, it doesn't make sense that you first multiply 26 and 48 and then you multiply 48 and 74 and then you add up the two. It doesn't make sense. Now in these kind of questions, please listen very, very carefully. In 6th also we had discussed, I'm again going to be repeating it. Whenever you have a question like this, the numbers which are being multiplied, they are taken as a single term, meaning this into this obviously will result up in a number. This is known as one term and this is another term. Which, how do you differentiate terms? How do we know how many terms are there? You have to look at the plus or the minus signs, the number of plus or the minus signs that you have. If I have 26 into 48 plus 48 into 74, first thing to realize is there are two terms in this. Okay, first thing that you must always realize, this is something into something. Plus gives you the distinction. Whenever you have plus or a minus sign, तो ये एक term है, ये एक term है. Now notice that both the terms have 48 common. So I will take out 48. जब 48 common ही है दोनों में, तो मैं क्यों सब दोनों को 48 से multiply करूँ? What I'll do is I will take out 48 common. I will put a bracket. Now first term का the leftover number is 26. Here I had a plus sign, so plus 26 plus and 74. Now notice we have changed this to the left hand side of the property, which I just wrote in the earlier board. I have rubbed it out. So this was actually that I had given you A into B plus C is equal to A into B plus A into C. This was the property. Now here this is like the right hand side of the property. So I have taken 48 common because 48 is present in both the terms. Okay, the questions that you will be given, something or the other has to be common. Okay, so 48 we've taken out common, the leftover is 26 and 74. Now if you solve this bracket, what do you get? 26 plus 74, it is giving you 100. So you see, this was an easy calculation if you use distributive property, and if you solve it normally it will take a lot of time and you may make mistakes and you may get the wrong answer. So basically you will just see the number which is common, take that out, from the first term whichever number is left, write it in the bracket, whatever sign is here write it here, and then whatever number is left from the second term write it here. Now here please understand, you may be given a question, I'll come to that, I'll do those questions also. You may be given a question in which every term doesn't have two numbers. For example, I'll just take up an example from your book only. For example, this is H part of question 5 of 1.3. I'll tell you what to do. Just listen to this. H is minus 57 into minus 19. Okay, now you have a lot of minus signs. I'll just explain. Try and understand. Plus 57. Now, please notice how many terms do you see? How many terms? I told you when two numbers are multiplied, that is one term. So this is one term and this is another term. And I just now told you that each term should have two numbers. But here I do not have two numbers. I have only one number. So what to do? I can simply write into 1. Can I do that? 57 is same as 57 into 1. Okay, so I'm just writing into 1 so that I have two numbers. Now carefully see, you have to understand a bit. Carefully see, 57 is common. Yes, in 1 it is negative, in 1 it is positive. Just in this video only, in the beginning I told you, not in this, the earlier one that I recorded. So I told you that two numbers, if two numbers are being multiplied and there are two negative signs, it becomes positive. So you can write this as 57 into 19 plus 57 into 1, because both are negative. I will come to a question in which one is negative, we'll come to that also, but here both are negative. So when you multiply, the negative sign goes off. So here now just see 57 is common, so you take out 57, put the bracket, number from the first term, plus sign, number from the second term, and you get 57 into 20, which is this. Okay, so we have multiplied, we have used the property and found out the answer. Please remember, you may have questions in which you have one number in a term, but then in that case you can multiply it with 1. You can multiply it with 1 only. You cannot just put any number here. I hope you understand, because we did multiplicative identity is 1. So you can just multiply with 1, not even minus 1. Minus 1 also will be wrong because it will change the value. Multiplying with 1 doesn't change the value. It is just so that you understand that yes, there is a 1 left. Even when I take 57 common, there is 1 left here. Otherwise, children make that mistake. So I hope this one is clear. I can just hope I don't get any reaction. So this is weird. Okay, now look at 1.3. First question, we are not doing, I'm quickly going to just discuss with you. First one, 3 into minus 1. Obviously, I said ignore the negative part, multiply 1 and 3. So the answer is minus 3. The B part, minus 225. The C part, just multiply 30 and 21 and the answer will be positive because there are two negative signs. So similarly, all these are easy. You simply have to multiply and look at the negative sign. Even number of negative signs give you positive answer, odd number of negative signs give you negative answer. So we are not doing this, not in the notebook, not to be done in the notebook. Now we come to question 2. Now question 2 is again verify kind of a question, which was there in the first exercise also. And I told you, if you remember, I told you in verification questions, always do the left hand side and right hand side separately. So the second question, A part is, they are saying verify the following. Sorry, this is a bracket. This is a bracket here. 7 plus minus 3. You have to verify the distributive property basically. Plus, they have given, okay, plus 18 into minus 3. This is what you have to verify. So you will first do LHS. LHS is going to be 18 into 7 plus minus 3, which is 18. 7 plus minus 3, 7 minus 3, which is 4. So 18 into 4. So that is 72. And when you solve right hand side, 18 into 7 plus 18 into minus 3. Okay, so 126. Now 18 into minus 3, the answer will naturally be negative. So, and then here you have a plus sign. If I show you all the steps, this is a plus sign as it is. 18 into minus 3 is minus 54. Okay, so this step you can skip if you're very clear. I showed it because you may have a doubt then. So you will write, therefore LHS is equal to RHS, hence verified. All the verification questions, this is how you're going to write. So LHS is equal to RHS, please you will solve separately, LHS and RHS separately, and then you will write LHS is equal to RHS, hence verified. Okay, so B part you will do yourself. That is again a verification question, do it yourself. And then fourth, leave it. Fourth we will not do. Then we will do fifth. Okay, I'll make up another video on that. So B part you will do yourself. First question not to be done. Third question not to be done. I will just discuss it in the next video. This is becoming longer. I'll just discuss the third in the next video, but don't do it in your notebook. Okay, bye bye. Stay safe, help your mothers and pray. Bye bye.